Hey, welcome back to the CEL page. So today we're going to talk about homophones and homographs. But before we get into what they are, I have a joke to tell you guys. You ready? So what did one half of the fruit say to the other half of the fruit? They said, "We make a perfect pair." You get it? Well, the reason why that works is because a pair can mean two different things. A pair could be P-A-I-R, which means two things that go together, or it could be P-E-A-R, which is the fruit that we all know, right? So we make a perfect pair could mean either of those. So that's why it's kind of corny, but it works. So homophones and homographs, what are they? Well, it's not just English that has them. Every language has homophones and homographs. So let's break it down. Homograph. So we have homo and graph. So homo, the prefix means the same. And then graph means written or drawn. So homograph, the same, written, right? So it talks about two words that are written the same, but maybe pronounced differently, and they mean different things. And then homophone, very similar to homograph. It has the homo, the same, but phone. Phone is the root, which means the voice. So it's said the same way, but maybe it means something different. Okay? So we have homograph, which is spelled the same, two words that are spelled the same way, but they are pronounced maybe differently and they mean different things. Then we have homophone, which is two words that are spelled differently, but they are said and pronounced the same. All right, so let's look at some examples of homographs to start off. So remember, homographs have the same spelling, but sometimes they sound the same and they mean different things. So we're going to start off with the word lead and lead. So they're spelled the same, right? L-E-A-D. The first one is a verb, lead. It means to guide someone to somewhere, right? You lead someone to the store, right? I will lead you. We also have the word lead, which is spelled the same way. See, lead is an irregular word because it doesn't follow the usual rules of English, where EA usually makes an E sound, but in lead it makes an E sound, right? Lead is a type of material, right? The pencils are made of lead. Let's look at another example. Let's look at live and live. So both of those are spelled the same way, right? L-I-V-E. One is live, so live your life. I live here in San Diego. And the other one is live, right? So live means that something is happening right in front of you, right? It wasn't recorded before, so it's happening right in front of you before your eyes. So in this case, live doesn't follow the rule where the E hits the I on its head and makes it say I. It should be I, live, but it says live instead. So that one doesn't really follow the rules. Another example would be minute and minute. So minute, we all know, 5 minutes, there's 10 minutes, right? But there's also minute. They're spelled the same way, M-I-N-U-T-E, but one is minute, talking about time, and one is minute, which means small, okay? And let's do a couple more. What about bass and bass? So here we have B-A-S-S. We have bass, which is a type of fish, right? We also have bass, which is a type of guitar. They're spelled the same way, but even though it's B-A-S-S, we still have a word called bass. It has that irregular sound in it. It's supposed to say bass, right? But it says bass because it's irregular. The last one we're going to do is tear and tear, right? So T-E-A-R spells tear and tear. One is when you cry, then you have tears coming out of your eyes, right? But tear can also mean to rip something up, like a piece of paper. I tear up the paper, right? So tear is irregular because it doesn't follow the EA rule that we usually have. So that's it for homographs. Let's go to homophones. All right, guys, now let's talk about homophones. Homophones are the ones that are pronounced the same way, but they're spelled differently and they mean different things, okay? So let's look at our first example. Let's do some and some, okay? So one is S-O-M-E and the other one is S-U-M, right? So S-O-M-E is a very common word that we use a lot in English, right? It means just an amount of something, a few, some, right? And then we have S-U-M, which means when something is put together, right? The addition. When you add something, it's called the sum of two things, right? So S-U-M it follows the rules of English, right? It has the U sound, the short U sound, which is But then S-O-M-E also has that sound, but it's an irregular word, right? There are some homophones that are irregular and some of them that are regular. Some is an irregular because S-O-M-E is supposed to say what? Soam. It has that E at the end with the M in the middle and then the O. It's supposed to make the O say the O sound, but it says some. So that's an irregular word. There are a few other homophones that are not irregular. So this is because there are some vowel combinations that make the same sounds. So another example we have of two irregular words that follow the English rules is tail and tail. So the first tail, T-A-I-L, right? That kind of tail is the thing that comes out of animals. Lots of animals have tails that comes out of their backside, right? Cats have tails, dogs have tails, dragons have tails that like come out of their back, right? So that's spelled T-A-I-L. So in English, the A and the I make the A sound, right? But that's not the only combination that makes the A sound. So the other tail, T-A-L-E, also makes the A sound because there's an E at the end with the L in the middle and then the A. So it makes the A say the A sound, right? And then that kind of tail, it just means a story, right? Like a tale that you tell to your children before they go to sleep. All right, let's do another one. Let's do, steal and steal, all right? So we have S-T-E-A-L and S-T-E-E-L. Those are both words that follow the general rules of English. We have the E-E sound and the E-A sound. Both of those sounds make the E sound, okay? But one means to take something without asking, right? To steal something, to steal money from a bank. Or we have the EE version, steal, which is a type of material, a very hard type of material. Usually things like planes or cars are made of steel, right? All right, let's do one more example. Let's do flower and flower, right? So we have the F-L-O-W-E-R and F-L-O-U-R, right? So the first one is a flower. It's the plant that you guys see on the ground lots of times. Beautiful flowers like roses or sunflowers, dandelions, right? But then we also have the other flour, the OU flour, which is a baking material that we use to make cakes, and I don't know what else. I don't really cook that much, so I don't really know what you use flour for. But yeah, so the OU makes the ow sound, and then the OW in flour also makes the ow sound. So both of those words follow the general guidelines of English rules, but they mean different things. All right, we're gonna jump back to homographs for 1 second, because a lot of students who are learning English have trouble with homographs because they're spelled the same way, but they are pronounced differently. So sometimes they pronounce it the other way when they should be pronouncing it this way, right? So how can we tell what way to pronounce it? Well, a lot of the times you can't really tell. You just have to look at the sentence that you're working with, right? So let's look at the words live and live as an example, like we talked about. So live is a verb, and live is an adverb. Live tells how something is done, right? So usually when we talk about the word live, we're usually talking about some kind of performance or some kind of show, right? So if you're reading something that has to do with like a TV show or a play or some kind of performance, then you're probably going to talk about the word live, right? Because a live show is a very common expression, right? But on the other hand, if we have the word live, when do we talk about the word live? Usually when we're talking about places, right? I live in California. I live in Brazil, right? So when we're talking about places like this or something else that has to do with how you live your life, then you would want to use the word live. Another example is maybe tear and tear, right? So tear, when we're crying, is a noun, right? And tear is a verb. It's something you do. You break something. You tear it up into pieces, right? So usually tear has to do with like a sad situation, right? If someone is crying, then you're definitely going to want to use the word tear if it's like a sad situation. But if there's no emotions involved and you're just talking about tearing or breaking something, then you're going to definitely want to use the word tear. So it's a little difficult, but you kind of have to just see the context of the sentence that you're talking about to figure out which word you have to say. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching the video. Don't forget to comment down below what you want to see next in one of our future videos. And don't forget to subscribe and like. All right, I'll see you next time.